just want my job back. I just want to go to work. I just want to work. I want my job back. I want the unions to fight. I want the legislation to be reversed. Let us work. Let us do what they implored us to do, what we took our oath to do. I just want.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. I smile because I am happy. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. My soul is refreshed. Had a beautiful weekend, spending time with my family, who I love, my sweet wife. Set it all up. We went to the best skiing in the United States. People don't know is actually in Missouri. Well, you don't believe me? It's true. Shut up. Good morning, Pineapples. Glad and thankful to have you here. Make sure you click the like button if you're a regular, and if you're new, stick around. And if you enjoy the content, click follow. We've got a lot to discuss this morning, lots of reasons to love being an American. Federal agencies pushing back on Elon Musk's "What did you do last week?" email. He did the meme. He did the meme. Meme-tastic. What is it that you say you do here? What would you do if you had $1 million? Two chicks at one time. Just kidding, Steffi. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. Tater salad already in with the, can you bless me with something? Sure.
Bless me with something.
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you stop it?
Woo! Monday morning, federal agencies pushing back on Elon Musk's "What did you do last week?" email. And Donald Trump trolling the feds who don't want to comply with a Spongebob SquarePants meme. We are living in the best possible timeline. I say possible timeline because the best timeline is utopia, and utopia literally means no place. Welcome, welcome to the 106 people joining us live here on the Wake Up America show. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. You're going to get lots of great news today. Of course, we got a million billion clips. It's another reason to be happy in America. Joy Reid at MSNBC out. Sip my Gulf of America mug here, my delicious water with lemon. Got to take care of your voice when you do this 10 hours a week minimum. Federal agencies pushing back on Elon Musk. "What did you do last week?" email. Trump uses a SpongeBob meme. Joy Reid is out at MSNBC. And James Carville predicts that Trump and the GOP are in the midst of a collapse. Sensible Chuckle magazine. Really? Doesn't feel like it. Kash Patel confirmed as the head of the FBI, Deputy Director Dan Bongino, fellow Rumble, citizen of the Rumble community. Dan, number one around here. Dan the man, Dan we stand. Bongino becomes Deputy Director of the FBI. That's a big deal, man. That's a big, big deal. You got to know that the bad guys are shaking and quaking in their boots this morning. New sheriffs are in town. And I'm laughing this morning at the Groypers who are so mad. You know, the super hard right-wing nationalists who are angry that an Indian man is running the FBI, is chasing out the left liberal James Comey, the guy who swore on the Bible, his oath, and committed obscene amounts of force and fraud. And of course, the Groypers were mad that Kash Patel, when he swore on the Bhagavad Gita, which, you know, not the Bible. People were mad, but then somebody contrasted it with James Comey, who actually took his oath on the Bible. Man, it turns out people can be shits no which religion they follow or not. A lot of people killed in the name of atheism, I'll tell you. In Mother Russia, Tater Salad, 68, enjoying a succulent Chinese meal. John Rail, Robbie Thurman, Dad Bod Baboon, In Jam 77, Floby Tenderson, the tenderest of all Flobies, as well as Kermode Bear trying to get me and my wife some goats. As well, Amy J. Eves. We've got a nurse in here, guys, if there's an emergency. I hope you live near mid-Missouri. Because that's where we stream the Wake Up America show live from. Jefferson City, Missouri, the heart of Missouri, the heart of the United States. I'm Austin Peterson, former television producer, former radio show host, former, well, I guess current active freedom fighter and America lover. Gulf of America lover, especially. Get those at my patriotic merchandise shop, forlibertyshop.com. That's the number, forlibertyshop.com. Boy, I've been teasing you guys out on an announcement that's, I mean, big deal for me personally, for the business personally. If you're a fan of the For Liberty Network, then I've got some really exciting news about another step forward that we're taking with our business to grow and expand and to spread liberty. Mary Kramer sent me a message over the weekend. It really meant a lot. As I was out doing the skis, shredding the slopes, I got a message from Mary Kramer who just said thank you for, just kind of my dogged activism for limited government. And when she sees me, I mean, she's a fellow Missourian, she sees me out at our state capitol actually getting up, in people's faces and fighting for the things that I care about and I believe in and I've, stood for 20 years. Just a little thank you was definitely enough. From you, you could also click the like button. It's almost as good. If you like what we do here, the For Liberty Network, we got lots of exciting things going on. And if you're supporting the For Liberty Network like Mary Kramer is, or like many of you are on a monthly sub, I just want to give a special shout out to all the monthly subscribers. You guys I probably recognize just how important you are because it gives us the confidence of our budget from month to month. We could say, okay, we know to some extent what our budget's going to be and what we can invest and how much we can spend on ads and what can we take time to spend to grow a new show, for example. And it's those monthly subscribers to the Wake Up America show who make a humongous difference. So I have to start this show today and say, if you're $5 a month, $10 a month, some people are like 50s, and like one person is $100 a month. That's crazy, right? And especially my $17.76 a month Peterson's Patriots, you're very special. Thank you for helping me and Stephanie build a dream life centered around the things that we care about, pursuing my passions. I've always loved performing and the arts and theater, and I'm a man of the stage and of radio and television. And coming this summer, my first feature-length documentary, The Battle of Athens, and my dreams are coming true. And especially you monthly subscribers, you just don't know how important it is. So if you are a monthly subscriber, thank you. If you're not a monthly subscriber but you feel guilty, then become one today. WakeUpAmericaShow.com/support. WakeUpAmericaShow.com/support. We've got a lot to celebrate today. Federal employees raising alarms over Elon Musk's push to reshape the U.S. government. They're fighting back. The mounting pressure has left many in the federal workforce feeling vulnerable, like this IRS employee that I played at the beginning of the show. And if you missed it, I just want to work.
I want my job back.
I just want my job.
I just want to go to work.
Well, it's like the private sector, dude.
I just want to work.
Yeah, we all...
I want my job back.
Yeah.
I want the unions to fight.
If you really want to work, I can tell you right now, there are people who are hiring in the private market.
I want the legislation to be reversed.
Well, that's the
thing.
Let us work. That's the whole thing. That's the thing about the whole legislation thing. And I don't mean to be like, punching right or anything, but very disappointed to see many Republican senators not joining in with Senator Rand Paul's push to actually codify spending cuts that we voted for to make America great again. I'm very disappointed in many Republicans who are not getting on board. I never thought that I would be whipping up votes for the Trump agenda, and yet here we are. The MAGA coalition is very diverse, not just among ethnic lines, but along ideological lines as well. And I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Cut the spending. Cut the spending and do it. The lawmakers, we have got to pressure these sons of bitches for not actually codifying the spending cuts. Senator Rand Paul introduces an amendment. You know who votes for it? Eric Schmidt. You know who doesn't vote for it? Josh Hawley. Damn it, man. What the hell? Vote for the spending cuts. A week before this, Josh Hawley Teaming up with Bernie Sanders. I know. Teaming up with Bernie Sanders to cap interest rates, because that's the biggest good problem facing our country right now. No. Teaming up with Bernie Sanders, and the next week not voting for the spending cuts. What the hell? Let's see some more Eric Schmidts. Eric Schmidt. Cut the spending. We need to pressure our elected representatives to follow through with the kind of spending cuts that we, the people, voted for. Am I right? Come on, America. Bit Devil, first time I've seen him here on the Wake Up America show. We always like to welcome newbies who join us in the chat and drop a comment. Appreciate it. Frickety, what's up, brother? Haven't seen you in a while, I feel like. L-Dubs, he's my man. He was the #1 first commenter here on the Wake Up America show today, so he wins the trophy. Kermode Bear was second in command. John Rail joining us live says, Republicans never really want to cut spending. Sans Rand Paul. Republicans love the money flowing in. You right, John Rail. You right. You can't type, but you right. That's actually a double entendre there. I love that you can't say sans in the United States without me thinking, one, Comic Sans, and then two, if you actually pronounce it the way that it's supposed to be, which is sans, Americans would have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Sans. What the hell is sans? Sans. I'm saying Comic Sans? No, sans. Without, meaning without. French for without. But if I went around saying sans, people would be like, what the hell is wrong with you, AP? Oh my gosh. Federal employees freaking out over Elon Musk's weekend directive for workers to justify their jobs in writing. Oh my God, they had to write a paragraph, guys. They had to write a whole paragraph. But they just want to work. Remember, they just want to work, but they can't write a paragraph. They just want to work, but they can't write a paragraph. One of these kids is doing their own thing. One of these kids is doing their own thing. Well, President Trump cracked a joke using an edited SpongeBob SquarePants meme on Sunday to poke fun over the outrage over Elon Musk's demand that federal workers explain what they did at work last week. I love it. What is it you say you do here? So I've got a billion clips. It's going to be a little bit this morning because the computer's kind of slowing down with all of the clips, the video clips that I got for you. But I got to find the SpongeBob meme, and then I'll pull you guys over to my oh my God, I got some funny clips for you guys. Oh, I can't wait. We're going to have so much fun today. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Donald J. Trump posts SpongeBob scratching his head with his pen. Patrick got done last week. Cried about Trump. Cried about Elon. Made it into the office for once. Read some emails. Cried about Trump and Elon some more. It's so good. It's so good. Musk then claimed on X, after he posted this, Musk claimed on X that he assumed that those who don't reply are resigning. Agreed. Meanwhile, the Democrats...
No! Please, no! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait.
Oh, my God. So Musk shared the same image as well in a separate post, and he called the questions that were posed to the federal workforce a very basic pulse check. Yes. Are you alive? It's the absolute minimum thing that a boss could ask of you. Have any of you worked in the private sector and had a boss maybe say, what is it that you would say you do here? Well, I'm trying to think. No, because I've always been a top performer. Don't hate me. I make my presence known. I'm loud. I'm assertive. I'm obnoxious sometimes, but you know that I'm there. You don't have to worry. Now, does this also get you in trouble sometimes at work? Yes, it can get you in trouble. I've been in trouble a fair few times at work, but never because what is it that you do here, AP? Not even like the closest that I've ever been. Like when I had to do the telemarketing and you get the obnoxious business to business calls like, hello, can I speak to your decision maker about any technology projects that you may have coming up? Yes, actually, it's quite good at that. 8:30 a.m. Central Time for Cliff Maloney. And 8 a.m. Central for John Miltimore. Today's going to be a great show, y'all. We're going to have so much fun. There's so much great stuff going on. Joy Reid is out at MSNBC. Oh, my God. The wins just keep stacking up. Oh, won't you miss this?
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent.
Oh shit, they got the Queen Latifah vote. It's a power play. Guys, remember that Dave Chappelle after 2016 when Trump won and he's on SNL with Chris Rock? And they were like, Hillary Clinton won Maine. Rhode Island. Oh, Rhode Island. Oh, power play. The Queen Latifah vote. It's the Rhode Island of the electoral map.
Celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
Yes, this is the insight on top political topics we've been getting from Joy Reid. Oh my God. I just feel like, I don't know what it is, but ever since Trump took over, I've just felt like this latent aggression that I didn't know that I had is just like bubbling out. I just feel like my masculinity is blooming and my voice is just getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. Good God. Too much testosterone. That can lead to hair loss, as some have noted. A flawlessly run campaign, says Joy Reid. But pay no mind to Joy Reid. Let's listen now to James Carville, who, despite the fact that Republicans, I feel like, have never been happier, never been more thrilled with the cabinet selections. They're getting through so quickly. The border getting secure. No. Some Democrats are predicting our demise.
Let me ask you this. So you got a lot of Democrats who have been sort of yelling and screaming about a lot of these nominations, and in some cases, I think rightly so, and in other cases, I think it's been a bit overwrought. But it seems that the angrier Democrats get, the more it feeds into exactly what Donald Trump and Elon Musk and some of these other folks want. Meaning, Fox News plays sound bites of Democrats' heads exploding as sort of sport. So what should they do from a media or political perspective?
Well, okay, I'm going to tease a piece I'm pretty sure will be coming out that I'm doing in the New York Times, probably Monday or Tuesday, but sometimes they'll kill it. But what I've said very publicly is that Democrats need to play possum. This whole thing is collapsing. It doesn't need Elizabeth Warren and somebody screaming to pacify some progressive advocacy groups in Washington, which, by the way, I wish these people were just useless. They're actually worse than useless, that they're detrimental. And they never, ever learn to shut up. And so, Dan, this is what I believe.
Fun freedom fact. His wife, Mary Madeline, endorsed me for president of the United States at one point. Good morning, guys. Austin Peterson here. Wake Up America show. It's morning in America again. It's a beautiful morning in Jefferson City, where BB for Liberty over in the chat, Brad Beckman, is our full-timer over here. Everybody say hi, Brad. Now, I saw BB for Liberty talking about that. Brad, what is it that you would say you do here? I don't know if this could be considered official employee harassment. But if they could do it to the feds, I'm sure we could do it in the private market. Brad, I see you over there in the chat. What are some things? What is it that you said you did last week, Brad? Good morning, pineapples. What's the list, Brad? You're over there in the chat. I want to see him in the Rumble chat. Everybody, get Brad. Get him. We want to see what you did last week, Brad. Just an overview. Obviously, don't display any company secrets or sensitive information, but, a general idea, Brad. What were you doing at the For Liberty Network last week? Baby on board, how I've adored that little yellow sign can't be ignored. Or those little yellow bricks. Maybe they're painted bricks.
We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. Wouldn't that be terrible? We open up.
Okay, so now my conspiracy brain is activated. You're activating my conspiracy brain, Mr. President. So before there was actually a chance that we were going to go into Fort Knox and audit the gold and see if the gold is really there, I would have probably been more prone to believe that the gold was gone or that there was maybe something going on. Like Stephanie last Friday was like, well, why would there not be any gold there? I'd be like, because the Rothschilds, man, the Illuminati, bro, they took the gold, man. You gotta understand, the child traffickers to Epstein's Island, they took the gold from Fort Knox to Jeffrey Epstein's Island, man. And then after they, you know what, the you know who, man, they took the gold and they were like Scrooge McDuck, and they went out and they swam in the gold, man. They swam in it. But now that there's a chance we might go in, now I think the gold's probably fine.
You know, I saw your appearance at CPAC with Bannon and with Ted Cruz, and one of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll check back.
Girl, you better drop that list. You better not be teasing us. We want the client list. We want the client list. You got to know that a bunch of like kiddly diddlies, they are not having a good day this morning. It's not a happy Monday for the left. It's not a happy Monday. Bill Clinton's not feeling good this morning. Who could it be? Who's on the list? You know what would probably be a better question? An easier question. This is the sad state. But it'd probably be easier to find if you ask who's not on the Jeffrey Epstein client list. Because the list is long. I'm guessing. I don't know. President Trump, in a stunning display of bravado and big balls, called out Maine's governor right to her face for not complying with an executive order on men playing in women's sports. A moment that will go down in history.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal law.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be.
Wait, bro. This is made for TV drama. This is soap opera stuff. I mean, if somebody did a soap opera about the president, they had to spice it up and make it interesting. The president would like be getting in governors' faces like this and saying, "I'll see you in court. I'll see you in court. Your population does not support this." I mean, he did his homework, man. He was ready to go. He didn't even know she was there, and then he's just zing, 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 zing. This is like Yu-Gi-Oh character Dragon Ball Power over 9,000 moment.
Federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state. Good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Bro, hit the start over music again. Oh, good morning. Pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. God, America. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. Or amber waves of grain for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, baby. I'm not going there. He's busting serious balls, says Kermode Bear. But we still need Congress to get its ass in gear. Otherwise, all this will be reversed. It's true. Amy J.E.'s pro tip: if you take money from the feds will attach strings. Correct. Guys, I have a question to ask you.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh gosh.
Money-wise.
Can you bless me with something? Money-wise. For Liberty Shop still going strong. I never expected that it would turn out this way. I really didn't. When Stephanie and I started forlibertyshop.com, it was really just a way for me to be able to meet the demand for my little 3D printed Buddhas over at forlibertyshop.com. I started it as AP for libertyshop.com. And when I went to start seeing, people were like, oh, well, can I have this variant or that variant? I realized that I needed like a simple solution to be able to do a little commerce and to print my little 3D printed Buddhas out of my my garage. And sure enough, it just exploded. Now here we are, 2.5, almost 3 years later. By the end of this year, it'll be 3 years. For libertyshop.com, going strong with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sales, guys, since we started. It's been wild. And, you know, you guys really are the primary drivers because Stephanie and I, we do our marketing lists and we look at our phone numbers and our emails, and it's like the top 50. It's Cecilia, right? It's Andy Opperman. You guys are our lifeblood. And, you know, we call you our superheroes behind the scenes. The superheroes for our shop. But, you know, we have expanded our customer base. We have grown, and we've built hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews. And it's because we are ahead of the curve of what's going on in this country. You show up to the beach, I'm telling you right now, order it now, and you'll have it ready for this summer. The Gulf of America beach towels are hot. 5 stars. Rick Regal bought it and loved it, showed it to their friends. Their friends loved it. They want it. It's not only patriotic, sporting the new name for our Gulf, silky, soft, and incredibly plush, high quality, good price. That includes delivery, guys. And I can't beat Amazon, so I don't compete with Amazon. So I price things accordingly to what I need to make in order to make this work and to make it worth it, and for it to be a money machine for me to sink back into my libertarian activism, which is, you guys see, I put your money where my mouth is, right? So support the cause and get some awesome merch. I recommend the towel. But I also highly, highly recommend my Gulf of America 20-ounce tumbler. I know it sounds stupid, guys, but it's like, oh, it's just a tumbler. It's not just a tumbler. It's just really clever with how simple it is. I take it with me to the gym. The top is really secure, right? It's not one of those things you really got to worry. But because it is a straw, it does have like an opening at the top. But even still, I've knocked it over on my desk, and only like a little bit of water spilled out. Like the top didn't fall off. Right, it's not a loose seal. It's actually a very tight seal, and so it keeps everything really cold, which is another benefit. So a 20-ounce tumbler, Gulf of America. You can get it with either my American flag shark, or you can get it with our awesome new skull and crossbones American flag skull design as well. Check out the whole Gulf of America merchandise product line, guys, and go to forlibertyshop.com and support the show. CO Day says, AP for the win. I'll grab one when the market opens, and gets ahead today. Hell yeah, market's going up. Line only go up. Amy J.E. says I should get one for my Gulf Shores trip. And Whitey White says, because Amazon has had unfair advantages from the beginning. It's true, but there's no such thing as fairness in the world. It doesn't matter. Like everything is rigged and against you. So the only way to make it is to break the rules like everybody else breaks the rules. Obey the law, because you can get in trouble for that, but you got to break the rules. And that's what we're doing over at For Liberty Shop. I'm breaking all the rules. And sometimes you do get in trouble for that, but you got to be willing to take the punches, take the losses with the wins. Fill up AP's Liberty G-string with money. Yes, exactly.
Can you bless me with something?
CEO Dave says, make a smaller towel for a golf bag. CEO Dave, my man, what is this that you see right here? Gulf of America shark towels, brother. We gotcha. We gotcha. T-shirts as well. I like the tote bag. You can, when you go to the beach, put your Gulf of America beach towel in your Gulf of America tote bag. Everybody know you're serious. We've also got it in the synthwave styles. Hats, mugs, giant tumblers, sandals, baby onesies, and tank tops. Where else are you going to get this stuff? Nowhere. Why else would you get it anywhere else? I don't know, Margot, but you should support Wake Up America show by going to forlibertyshop.com. Yeah, Whitey White, I don't try and compete with Amazon because that's a sure way to lose. People complain. They're like, Austin, why can't you get next day? Why can't you get it there the next day? I'm like, because I'm not Amazon. I just can't. I can't be Amazon. If I try and compete, the minute you step into their territory and compete, you're screwed, right? So I can't be them. So I have to outcompete them with fresh, hot designs before anybody else gets them. I design them, get them out there, get them to you. And it's fast, guys. I ordered my DOGE father hoodie, the one of Elon Musk with the chainsaw, the Viva la Libertad Carajo chainsaw. I ordered my hoodie and it was like the next day it had shipped. And I was like, damn, that is fast. So we have pretty fast shipping. It's just not going to be like Amazon Prime. We can't compete with that. So I don't try. But if you do order from us, you do get high quality products as quickly as a small merch shop can deliver. Somebody decided to, hey, my advertising worked. Thanks, guys. See, like, you guys are the best. Somebody decided to go to forlibertyshop.com and they made a purchase and they are an MVP. Thank you, guys. I won't dox you, but I will say that they got the best item that I recommended today. Glad you guys like it. Hey, thanks for hanging out. We're having a blast today. We're talking about the news. It's not all commercials, but some of it is because we got to pay the bills. We just want to work. I just want to work.
I just want my job back. I just want to go to work. I just want to work. I want my job back. I want the unions to fight. I want the legislation to be reversed. Let us work.
What legislation are you talking about? They're not passing legislation. You failed your civics test. It's executive orders. The legislation that is overturned is Donald Trump's election. He's not going anywhere, baby. Oh, the left, though. Have they learned their lessons from the election? Let's check in on them.
I believe we're on the path that Nazi Germany went down under Hitler, and I say that as a political science and history major, as someone who has studied history, and the parallels are very, very clear. This administration is trying to erase trans people. This administration is trying to put obedience over duty to the country. This administration is trying to thrust our country into turmoil in order to reap power for themselves. I believe
Is that the funniest thing you've ever heard? I believe we're on a path to Nazi Germany, one under Hitler. I say that as a political science and history major. It might be the funniest sentence I've ever heard a human being say. And, you know, living and working in D.C., Northern Virginia, for like, I think I was on the East Coast for like 6 years in D.C. and then 5 or 5.5 maybe in New York. But when somebody says, if somebody says as a political science and history major, if somebody says that in DC, like, they would be rightly laughed out of any room that they are in, because it's such, first of all, everybody has that degree and it's such a low bar, right? But it's like, oh, what political history science? Like, this guy better be from Georgetown. This kid, whoever this kid is, whoever this kid is that they got on here, he better be from Georgetown. He better be from like the only school that is acceptable of in DC to say you got a political science and history major from in DC. That's the only school that is kind of like acceptable. Oh, like Harvard, Yale, like, yeah, like the top 2 or 3. But American University, by sheer numbers, they force us to like accept them, even though I don't accept American University as like. I don't accept American University students. Georgetown, Hale, even me, and I'm not like a snobby, effete liberal. I'm freaking badass American, Gulf of America, coffee drinking. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part by viewers and listeners like you who click the like button and help support the Wake Up America show. It was all fake, just like Uncle Anton told us. Jonah Goldberg got himself in trouble for calling out J.D. Vance, saying that J.D. Vance is not a combat veteran, despite the fact that he served in a combat zone. He was Jonah Goldberg, who did not serve at all, deigned to say that J.D. Vance is not a combat veteran. He got dogpiled. Somebody unearthed a tweet. Jonah Goldberg has not been a big fan of what DOGE is doing. He's been really dogging the Trump administration. And I always thought Jonah Goldberg was kind of weaselly, even back in 2008 when he was like getting his de-est when he wrote Liberal Fascism, which is a great book. And I think there was like a foreword written by a friend of mine, or a blurb for it. And I just never really kind of trusted the guy, to be honest. And I think it was probably because I was a big Ron Paul guy. I don't think he was a big fan of Ron Paul either. But Jonah Goldberg claims to be like this whole classical liberal libertarian guy. Well, if he is, he's kind of down there with like the Chase Oliver left libertarians, right? It's like... Are you really a conservative, Jonah? But here's what I learned from all those years that I spent in New York and Washington, D.C. The thing that I learned the most about politics is that whether it was like pro-life people or conservative people at these institutions, many of them, is that they actually don't want to succeed. They didn't want to succeed. I was shocked when I learned this, and you learn it pretty quick when you're living and working in Washington, D.C. And these are the kinds of insights you're going to get if you go with me on the AP DC Liberty Tour, by the way. Sign up and join us at forlibertyshop.com. But I remember being shocked to learn that pro-life, anti-abortion groups, they actually weren't really anti-abortion. They were anti-abortion because they knew that if their funding dried up, and of course this is true for liberal institutions almost entirely. It's just that because I worked on the right with right-wing and conservative institutions, right, you kind of learn pretty fast about how the grift works. But the way the grift works is this.
Now I'll name names, right? If you're at National Review or AEI or the Heritage Foundation, your job is to pretend to oppose, but to really support. Your whole business model, well, your business model as staff and management collapses if you don't do that. It's an open question why the donors donate to these places. I actually believe they're deceiving their donors for the most part. That is, I'd like to believe most donors to Conservatism Inc., NR, Heritage, whoever, they're writing checks. They think these guys are fighting bad leftists. They're fighting socialists, communists, America haters, critical race theory. They're standing athwart yelling stop. They really think that. They don't think I'm writing this check so that Rich Lowry, Ramesh Ponnuru, Jonah Goldberg, and other fat, useless grifters can have six-figure jobs to do nothing but sell out my country and pretend that they're saving me. I don't think they think that, but just to be completely clear, that's what they're doing.
Not having a good day, but we sure are. It's the Wake Up America show, and I'm Austin Peterson. Steve Bannon was asked a question at CPAC. He was asked about the Jewish question, and I honestly was really shocked with his answer. And I think it's a controversial answer that he gave about the Jewish question when it comes to politics in the United States. And I think that his answer is very compelling in terms of cultural and ethnic attitudes towards American attitudes of individual liberty. Here's Steve Bannon answering a question about Jews and American values.
Where are you from? I was born in Jerusalem. Folks from USSR, so they've experienced real socialism. My question is to you is this: what do you think about foreign aid to Israel? Is it a strategic partnership?
Israel is a partner of the United States, but people in Israel got to understand something. The number one enemy to the people in Israel are American Jews that do not support Israel and do not support MAGA. Okay, MAGA and the evangelical Christians and the traditional Catholics in this country have Israel's back. They have the Jews back. The biggest single enemy to the Jewish people are not the Islamic supremacists. The biggest enemy you have is inside the wire. Progressive Jewish billionaires that are funding all this stuff. They are the number one enemy, and the people in Israel have to set that right. because MAGA has your back, traditional Catholics have your back, and evangelical Christians have your back. We will always have the back of Israel. But I got to tell you, you have an enemy inside the wire.
Amen. Amen. Leftist Jewish billionaires and intellectuals who built communism and who advocate for socialism, who advocate against American values can get out. Get the hell out. Oh my God, it's anti-Semitic. Oy vey. Well, I'll be the first white nationalist to marry a Jewish girl then, I guess. No. I think Steve Bannon makes a good point there. But speaking of those Islamo-supremacists.
These people are just idiots. I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people because the level of stupidity that they are displaying every single day is frankly embarrassing, not just in Congress, but as Americans. And the fact that these people are allowed to say just the most ridiculous things tells you that the dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get a Trump presidency again?
Oh, it's because we're stupid. Because we're stupid. Keep calling us stupid. And while we're on the ethno-cultural national question here, here's Kash Patel getting sworn in on the Bhagavad Gita.
Please place your hand on the Gita and raise your right hand.
Bhagavad Gita.
I solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
I'm glad that she's got a ear monitor there to let us know so that we can actually hear him there, because that microphone's doing the work of two people. It's an interesting question that we have. It's an interesting question that we have here. That we have these ethnic people who are firing American people. I left this meme up here, guys. I left this meme up here because there's only a few people who are really going to get this meme. But for those who do, I can't believe they fired Joy Reid from MSNBC. Let me say, do an accent. I can't believe they fired Joy Reid from MSNBC. So get her, Steve. For those of you who get the joke, I think that you'll have a better morning than those who don't. Yes. I think we're living in the best possible timeline when we are reading about federal agencies who are pushing back on Elon Musk. What did you do last week, email? We're going to speak to John Miltimore about that in about 12 minutes. It's 7:48 a.m. Central Time. That's Jefferson City, Missouri time. What about you? Let us know where you're at. You can send me a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. I think Mary Kramer is texting this morning. She says that she plans to testify against a stupid bill today. Good for you, Mary Kramer, and thank you for your service as well, madam. So you can text the show just like Mary Kramer does, and just like many of our friends at like Drew Luck and others. 573-319-1586 is that text line. Again, the text line is open at 573-319-1586. Can you bless me with something? How about some Rumble rants?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise.
Would you guys drop some Rumble rants? It was my birthday last week, after all. Drop some Rumble rants in the chat and show some support. February is a short month for us, so since we earn on a daily basis over here at the For Liberty Network, every day that we have really counts to help us. So short months for us means short month to earn. So if you guys want to support the For Liberty Network and support the good activism that we do over here, drop some Rumble rants, because your boy AP gets up early, 5 days a week, to support your freedom. So make sure that you drop a Rumble rant if you can. If you're watching us on some platform where you can't do something like that, then forlibertyshop.com is for you. Head over there and support the Wake Up America show with your kind custom. There we go, okay? Alderney, it's 1:48 p.m. The Isle of Guernsey. Southcott joins us live this morning. He lives in a castle and he watches the Wake Up America show from an island in the English Channel. Good morning, Southcott, my little pineapple. I like to picture him as a man who has like a smoking jacket and a pipe, and he has a loyal dog that brings him his slippers at night, and he kind of looks a little bit like Hugh Hefner, but not quite as sleazy, more classy, with lots of rich mahogany in his office. Southcott. Feliz cumpleaños. Gracias. Thanks, Monty Megatron, and thank you, Steelbringer. It's nice to know that those who ask shall receive. And there is a good lesson. Therein is a good lesson, especially for you youngins out there. If you ever want to make it in business one day, the truth is that you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want to get, you've got to ask. Can you bless me with something, my little pineapples? Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. We're going to speak to John Miltimore from the American Institute of Economic Research this morning about the email that Elon Musk sent to federal employees asking them to say a list of their accomplishments or things that they got done in the last week. Not much, just a simple list. And the federal employees' pushback has already begun. Many thousands of federal employees have already experienced layoffs and lost their jobs. We're going to talk about what that means. I liked what Amy J. E. said earlier when she was talking about a friend of hers was saying, well, what about the job layoffs? Aren't you worried? Don't you worry about it's a tough economy. Well, where were you during COVID, bitch? Yo. Dad Bod Baboon says, you can dox me. I bought a towel this morning. Figure I should since I live in the Gulf of America. Hell yes. Bro, you rock. Let's make sure that you are the person who I'm seeing here. All orders, and it's William Waldrop. Yes. Why don't you marry me, Bill? I love you so, I always will. Why don't you marry me, Bill? Okay.
No!
Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. I wasn't even really trying. Shut up.
Let us do what they employed us to do. I just want my job back. I just want to go to work. I just want to work. I want my job back. I want the unions to fight.
Oh, fight.
I want the legislation to be reversed. Let us work. Let us do what they employed us to do, what we took our oath to do.
Turn your freaking notifications off whenever you are on a live interview, you dope. Millions of federal employees are going into their work week caught between differing factions of the Trump administration. Elon Musk gave them a Monday night deadline to explain their productivity or risk losing their jobs. Some senior officials told workers to ignore the directives, and a way that a lot of those headlines are being read, it's like Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel told their staff not to reply to the email. Well, no shit. It's the director of national intelligence and the FBI, you fools. Of course they're not supposed to reply to anything because they don't want to take any risk that any confidential information. And the whole stipulation on the original email was, of course, don't share sensitive information. So, I mean, if the security agencies responded to the email, it would be a good test because those people should obviously be fired. Fire the people who responded in that sense, right? If you don't respond to the email, they're taking it as a resignation. I kid you not. If you don't respond to the Musk email by tonight is the deadline. By tonight, midnight, you have to write one email for your job. What is it that you say you do here? And if they don't do that, exempting the National Security Agency and the FBI and the other security agencies, then you're gone, baby. I mean, they are pressuring employees to quit. All federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. I just can't hit the plus button anymore, guys. It's too much excitement, but I just really don't want to overload you guys. The email with the subject line, what did you do last week? Can I still hit the laughter button? Because they're so funny. The demon comes out. Yeah. Thank you, Pulp Fiction buff. Good morning, Pineapple. I have to hit the pause button.
Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, Pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
So the email subject line, what did you do last week? And in the subject line, that's the subject line. And then it told all federal workers to respond by 11:59 p.m. Monday. See, 12 o'clock wouldn't count. What if it came in at like 12, right? You'd be fired. That'd be just hilarious. There's got to be as many millions of federal employees as there are. There's got to be at least one employee tonight who's going to be bugging and is just going to send it, and it's going to come in at 12. And Elon's autistic ass is going to be no, I'm sorry.
Oh God!
Get out.
No, God, please.
Get out. It's gotta happen. Government employees have been rattled for weeks. For weeks, they have been freaking out. 5 bullets is what they have to say of what they accomplished last week. 5 bullet points. One friend of the show texted in at 573-319-1586. He sent me the Javier Milei Michael Knowles interview. I do need to watch that. Said, got a clip on your X DMs that might be worth it to save for Camellia. Thank you, JJ. I will grab it. In Jam 77, do I have a bigger beach towel? There are 2 sizes of beach towels at forlibertyshop.com, guys. There are 2 sizes. So when you go there, check out the 2 sizes here. Click on the beach towel. You can see there's size 30 by 60 and 36 by 72. Big and fluffy and beautiful at forlibertyshop.com. We'll be right back with John Miltimore talking about firing federal employees. It's a libertarian utopia on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's revolutionary roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's patriotic perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president.
I just want my job back. I just want to go to work. I just want to work. I want my job back. I want the unions to fight. I want the legislation to be reversed. Let us work. Let us do what they employed us to do, what we took our oath to do.
It's an IRS agent doing his best to cry out of work. Get a job. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson, where my job is spreading the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty, fighting for your right to party. Welcome to the show, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you click the like button. I love it when we get a natural 200 viewers watching us over at rumble.com without even a boost. It's nice to see. Welcome to the show. I know many of you are hanging out there, lurking in the background, and you're not dropping comments, but if you can see it in your heart to bless me with something like clicking the like button, for that, we thank you. And follow as well. If you're enjoying the content and you're a regular viewer, but you just tune in whenever you can, click the follow button. You'll get an alert whenever we go live. It might entice you to join us more often here at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. It's the home of the For Liberty Network. I'll tell you more about that later. Federal employees are raising alarms over Elon Musk's push to reshape the U.S. government. They're freaking out, man. You are freaking out, man. You know who's not freaking out, man? John Miltimore. It's Monday, so Mondays with Miltimore are mandatory, but not by law. John, how are we doing? Are my intros getting better and better? Are they getting more smooth and polished as we come up on like a 3-year anniversary for this show?
Perfect. Don't change a thing.
Hey, don't change a thing over here with me. You don't change a thing too, John, but we could change a thing or two or three or a few or however many have you on the federal government. Things are changing. Changing, John. What is it that you say you do here? Could you list the 5 things that you did last week, your accomplishments last week, John? Could you write them down if you needed to in an email today?
Sure. I think most of us could, but I got to say, give that man a podcast. He sounds great. Like really, he's convincing. And I don't want it to mean, I don't want to sound too cynical here. Nobody likes losing a job. If I got a call today and said, you're out, I'd feel sad too. It happens to everyone every day. Like it doesn't happen to everyone every day, but it happens to people every day in this country, right? Why do we hear so much about these layoffs out of Washington? Is there something about the U.S. civil service? Are they untouchable? I mean that seriously. You can go back to President Coolidge. You can go back to Bill Clinton. Everyone that tried to reform the civil service has hit a dead end. And here we see a president that is actually serious about it, and we're going to be seeing a lot of clips like this. There's going to be a lot of noise. The same thing happened in Argentina when Milei was trying to do this and did it with some success, laid off tens of thousands of workers. People were up in arms, and Milei just kept going. And look at their economy now. Look at how it's changed in 1 year.
What do you really think? I mean, the administration is doing so much, but do you think that this is the most important thing, or at least one of the most important things that the Trump administration is doing? Because they're doing so much. I mean, you could do, hours and hours of content of just like one thing, that the immigration question of what the Trump administration is doing. In my heart, in my mind, I'm very much focused on the fiscal and economic issues, so I don't want to get that. And I know you are too. But would you agree with me that this is, confirmation bias aside, this is probably the most important thing that the Trump administration is doing, civil service reform?
I think it is. And I get very frustrated when I speak to free market people who say, oh, the money's in entitlements. What are we doing messing around? That to me is a very frustrating response. You have to start somewhere. And to me, the easiest place to start, what they're doing, fraud, waste, and abuse, and going after these federal departments, many of which shouldn't exist in the first place. And this is the place to start if you're trying to get reform in Washington. And to me, it's a sensible strategy to go after the lowest hanging fruit. And then year 2, we look at how we can, I get it. Entitlements, all this redistribution is where so many of we're talking trillions of dollars, and we do need entitlement reform. That doesn't need to be in the first 100 days. I think you first show that, this is what we can do when we actually start making cuts. We can shape our economy. We can fix our economy. This to me is a sensible strategy.
It's an exciting time to live in for people like us who have been advocating for this kind of reform for years. It is fascinating. I played this clip earlier. I'm not sure if I shut it down, but maybe I can play it for you again if I didn't close it. I hope I didn't. But this was, this is how DC works. This is the real inside, the real dirt, the real scoop, or the real poop, as they might say, in terms of how Washington works. This is a gentleman talking about people who have a vested interest in the cause that they are fighting against to stay alive. Listen to this. Hold on one second.
Now I'll name names, right? If you're at National Review or AEI or the Heritage Foundation, your job is to pretend to oppose, but to really support. Your whole business model, well, your business model as staff and management collapses if you don't do that. It's an open question why the donors donate to these places. I actually believe they're deceiving their donors for the most part. That is, I'd like to believe most donors to Conservatism Inc., NR, Heritage, whoever, they're writing checks. They think these guys are fighting bad leftists. They're fighting socialists, communists, America haters, critical race theory. They're standing athwart yelling stop. They really think that. They don't think I'm writing this check so that Rich Lowry, Ramesh Ponnuru, Jonah Goldberg, and other fat, useless grifters can have six-figure jobs to do nothing but sell out my country and pretend that they're saving me. I don't think they think that, but just to be completely clear, that's what they're doing.
Do you think that, John, there's something nefarious in some of those black-pilled opinions of people who are supposed to be on our side about these things? I mean, they like to paint themselves as these principled defenders of the cause until the cause wins, and then it's, no, not like that. No, not like that.
I think there's some truth to this. I'm going to bring up, Jonah Goldberg is getting roasted on Twitter today. I don't know if you saw this, but there's that tweet from 2011. He said, that said, I want to take a chainsaw to the federal bureaucracy or federal spending is what he said. 2011, you can't get much more red meat than that, right? We're going to take a chainsaw to federal spending. And he's opposed at every step, everything the Trump administration has done. And I'd like to talk to Jonah about that. Say, hey, what happened between now and then, or was that all that just were you blowing smoke? Maybe he'd say, well, I still believe that, but I oppose some of the other things the Trump administration is doing on X, Y, and Z. Maybe that would be an answer. But I do think what you have, the closer you get to D.C., you have more and more people that defend it. And that's what we see. It doesn't matter if it's a right-wing think tank. It doesn't matter if it's a libertarian think tank. The more you are embedded to the DC culture, the more you end up part of that culture and defending it, even though part of you understands that your mission is to oppose these things. That you believe in limited government, that you believe in small government. You end up part of this culture where you're defending the swamp. And why that is, we saw it during the pandemic. This is something I've thought about a lot. I've talked to other people. If you look at the free market think tanks closest to DC were the least vocal during that period. It was the individuals and institutions that were further out that were able to say, this is crazy. We need to stop this. Why are we doing this? But I think the Washington culture and the Washington money plays a huge role in keeping people loyal to it.
I completely agree. And that astute analysis that is 100% correct is coming at you from John Miltimore. He is from the American Institute of Economic Research, a think tank that actually wants to accomplish the goals that it's setting out to accomplish. I always say I would love to no longer exist anymore. If I could put myself out of a job, John, I think that would be a great thing. I'd take my talents and make, B Star Wars style knockoff Robert Heinlein science fiction Star Wars style movies with libertarian twists just for shits and gigs and funsies. Just go.
Amen. Hey, I've thought about that too. You find yourself doing these things, but in a sense, we have to. I think there's a lot of people. If you look at American culture, American art, we're not producing it like we once were. Mm-hmm. And I think so much energy is being put into just trying to resist, what was coming out of to DC. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with a mess of a country. And you know, I think a lot of us would rather, we don't want to be talking politics. We don't want to be, you know, this embedded in a fight against Washington, D.C. But if you don't have people holding the line, you will end up with something resembling, you know, a Soviet Union. Like this is really what you have. The ideas that are emanating from Washington today, it's not just the out of control spending. There's efforts, you know, to do what Europe is doing. If you look at Germany, you can't insult someone online. Like, I don't know if you saw that 60 Minutes thing. They had the politicians on there giggling. They were giggling over it, like, oh, we'll take their phone. You know, like it's illegal to insult someone online. Do we like that? That to me is very Minority Report, right? Like we're gonna. It's dystopian. But you know, thank God we have a First Amendment here. We would have something similar to that. I think there's appetite for that in Washington. They want to ban misinformation. They want to control what you say. And if we don't have people fighting every day to resist that, that's what will happen here.
That's right. And when you see it happening in the UK, and you see it happening in smaller extents to Canada, you know, I understand the people who say, hey, we shouldn't be fighting with Canada. You know, they're at least they're not like Mexico or some third world dictatorship, despite, you know, Justin Trudeau trying to turn it into one in many ways. But I kind of like the cultural hostility towards Canada. I feel like that ramping up is not necessarily a bad thing, because Canadians have hated us for years and have been talking shit on us, like celebrating that they go to Europe. Let's pretend like we're Canadian. We don't want people to think we're American. Oh, really? Oh, really? You don't want us to think they've had a problem with us, these libturds, Canadian libturds, for years. And, you know, a little bit of the cultural pressure back onto them, and they fold. And what happens? You know, a little bit of a threat of a tariff, and Justin Trudeau, they fold like a wet noodle. Now, I don't want to inflame them any more than is necessary and give Justin more wind, or his party more wind in the sails, right? We don't want to have a self-fulfilling, defeating prophecy. And yet, I cannot look at some of the things that Donald Trump does, the confrontational attitude that Trump takes towards his opponents, and not say, good job, hell yes. That it puts semen in thy testicles. I want you to listen to this. This is Donald Trump calling out the governor of Maine to her face. And I want you to hear this and react to it, okay? Here's the clip.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
He went looking for a fight.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Oh, shit. No wonder they're hiring guys with the name Big Balls over there at DOGE. John, your reaction?
I got a mixed reaction to that. Do I like that Trump is putting these politicians in their place? Many of whom are corrupt, many of whom are promoting bad ideas. Yeah. Also, I'm a small government conservative, right? Like I like states being able to have. I never liked the idea of a federal government, a strongman president that can bully states into doing these things. Like I remember as a college student learning that it was the Reagan administration that said, no, you can't have a state that has a 18-year-old drinking. You know, we're gonna take away your federal money if you try to make it where 18-year-olds can actually consume alcohol. And I said, well, that's not the way this was set up. You know, it was state governments that were supposed to be, you know, carving out the laws here and setting this. We don't need Washington dictating all these things. We don't live in that world, and Trump is playing by the rule book we have today, and he's getting things done. So that's why I have mixed feelings. The American system was not designed to be this, is my point. But this is where we are, and I'd rather have somebody shaping it in a way that actually is making things better.
Correct.
Than losing.
It's like the Department of Education. We don't think that the Department of Education should exist, but if it does, it shouldn't teach the 1619 project, that America was founded 100%. In 1619 and all that kind of shit. But here's my retort to that, John, on the federalism question. The only time that federalism is an end in and of itself is to be established as a process, which has been done. But otherwise, federalism is just a means to an end. And the end is what matters, because at the end of the day, like you said, that we're living in a post-federalist world in many respects. But I can say on one hand that if they're withholding federal funding for the purpose of why they're doing something matters, and the end results of it matters. I don't think that anybody wants more liberty for little girls in public schools to be exploited by perverts and intellectual weirdos for the same reason I don't think that they should be teaching the 1619 Project, right? So in that sense, that my mixed reaction, I share with you like, oh, well, I kind of like the idea of federalism to an extent, but the federalism itself is just a means. It's just a means. And if it doesn't result, listen, if federalism resulted in less individual liberty, then I'm against it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you could make the point like all this money flowing from Washington to begin with is against the whole principle of federalism.
Right.
And it is. And you know, I couldn't even remember at first what issue this was in Maine. This is the transgender, you know,
so
biological men competing in women's sports.
Yeah, girls and girls, you know, men and girls sports, and especially public schools.
And so this is not just good policy, you know, from Trump in that sense. Like if we're going to have Washington involved in these sort of questions, yeah, don't be funding things like that. It's also very good politics. The left is getting hammered on this. People don't want it. You know, I know Democrats, you know, lifelong Democrats that are pissed off about this. They have women, they have the daughters that are competing. They don't want their daughter competing in swimming or in gymnastics. These girls worked their butts off for 10 years, and now you're gonna have a young man, a biological young man, come in and say, well, I can go take the gold over here. I might be middle tier here, but I can come over here and I can take the gold, and it just means me wearing a dress and changing my pronouns. And that strikes these people. That's not right. Nobody likes that. Or a very you know, minor number of people. You know, a slim. I don't know what you call it. We'll say, not a majority of people. Like people are angered by that. And it's not just Republicans. It's not just libertarians. It's not just conservatives. A lot of people look at this and they recognize that's crazy to go and let biological males come in and dominate women's sports like this.
Speaking of gold, do you think there's any gold in Fort Knox? You think should they do a live stream? You think that they're painted?
I found it crazy that you have guys like Mike Lee and Rand Paul that can't get access to Fort Knox. Why is that? These are U.S. senators. Why are they being told they can't go and do the tour and see it? Like, you know, I've been on Twitter last week. I saw that both men are like, hey, you know, I tried to get a tour. I can't get one. Why not? And does it sound crazy that, you know, like maybe there's not as much gold in Fort Knox as we've been told? I don't know what to believe. I think it's very strange that U.S. senators cannot get access to that building.
Somehow they let Mitch McConnell in, which thankfully he's retiring. God bless him.
Oh, he did get one. Okay. Well, Mitch's loyalty might not be questioned in the same way Mike Lee and Rand Paul.
Exactly. Yes, their patriotism is not in question. While Mitch McConnell, as he returns to the sea, McConnell with a plastic six-pack holder around his neck, and as Mitch McConnell returns to the ocean with a straw up his nose.
No, I did see Mitch is retiring, yeah.
He's retiring. They'll remove the plastic straw from his nose as he leaves. But yeah, Mitch McConnell's retiring, and I actually have a piece out about that today at AMP America. That's Cliff Maloney's outlet that I write for, and he's going to be joining us here in about 10 minutes. And I'm looking forward to talking to him about having a DOGE in every state. We're going to talk about taking DOGE to the state level, which is talk about federalism, John. That's kind of where we need to be. You're writing a piece. It's coming out today as well, talking about our spending and our money. $2 billion going to a certain you-know-who to do God knows what in Georgia. What's the story, John?
You know, the Free Beacon has been doing great stuff, the Washington Free Beacon. Like they're doing original journalism. They're doing all the things that mainstream journalism should be doing but isn't. And one of the things they uncovered was, and this does come from DOGE itself, this $2 billion grant that went to, it was an EPA grant, and it went to a nonprofit that's linked to Stacey Abrams, who ran for, what did she run for, governor?
Yeah,
Senate?
governor of Georgia, and she claimed the election was stolen.
Right.
Yeah.
So $2 billion grant went to this, people are like, oh, okay, there's money being thrown around all the time. This nonprofit was set up months before. It was just established. It had $100 in revenue for 2023. Imagine sending a $2 billion grant to some nonprofit that has done nothing. This looks like this is Tammany Hall.
It looks really
corruption.
bad.
It's insane. We're going to send $2 billion to this nonprofit that has done nothing. And it shows me like how much corruption, how much graft are Americans going to, are they willing just to look away from? This is like Tammany Hall stuff, but on steroids. It was, if you go back to the 19th century, New York was all this, and not just New York, many of these cities were blatantly corrupt in their politics, and you had a kind of a national movement that organized around it, said we can't be doing that, and then they get charged by the feds, if they came in, but now the federal government's doing it, and they don't have anyone watching them. The only thing you can do is report these things, but will Americans take it seriously when you see billions of dollars, that are flowing to some nonprofit that has done nothing? It looks like just a pure giveaway for a political ally. Stories like that need to get attention.
John, I've got a few more minutes with you here. I have another clip for you. This is President Trump at CPAC. I'd like to have you react to this.
And we're doing another thing. If they don't report for work, we're firing them. In other words, you have to go to office. Right? Right? Look at her. If you don't report to work, that's another scam. Who the hell, if I'm staying home, let's see, my golf handicap would get down to very low number. You'd be shocked if I told you the real number. But I would be so good, I'd try and get on tour. I would be so good. I'd call up, I'd say, listen, I'm really working here. Where are my clubs? Where are my clubs? Either that or, in many cases, they have second jobs while they're getting paid by us. So one of the reasons they're leaving is because they don't want to have to show that, people.
Work from home, federal employees, over. Was it a sham the whole time, John?
Well, I'm sure some are taking advantage, and I'm sure it happens at private companies too. We have a lot of listeners that probably work from home. I work from home.
I do too.
There's some people that I'll tell you this, if I don't get my work done, I'm not going to be employed very long. Yeah. And I don't think that's the case in the federal government. Mm-hmm. But no, this is, all these companies, you can go to, it's a trend now in Silicon Valley, they're calling people back to work, right? And guess what happens to you in the private sector if they say you got to be in the office and you don't show up? You're gone. It's that simple. Like, you get fired. This is how the person writing the paychecks gets to determine how this is going to work. Whether you can work from home, whether it's hybrid, whether you got to be in the office. Trump's doing something very smart, saying, hey, you want to work? You're going to be in here, and you're going to be in here 5 days a week. And I'm sure there will be some attrition from this. I'm sure some people are going to be like, no, I don't want to. And good for them. Operate your power of exit. Go find a different job. And if other people are going to have to go back and go in and maybe be miserable in their job. Like, you know what? Make the change. This is your choice. But this is what, it's great to see this, Trump doing this. Again, I think it's smart in the sense you're going to reduce the federal workforce without actually having to fire people.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor, would you be mine? John Miltimore is our neighbor every Monday on the Wake Up America show. It's Mondays with Miltimore. We wouldn't miss it. He doesn't miss it. Come hell or high water, John Miltimore's on with us on Monday. John, anything else you want to share or plug before we let you go today, brother?
No, great being with you. Check out my content on Substack, The Take by John Miltimore. I publish there, almost every day. Check out my content. Otherwise, AP, you have a great week, man.
You too, John Miltimore. You're doing the Lord's work. We appreciate you.
What would you have us do?
I would actually, you know what? I'd just like you to show that you give a damn. that you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately. That this individual sitting down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has given absolute power to one man who brings his son into the Oval Office, whose son says to him, "You're not the president. You shouldn't be in that chair." Now, where did he get that from? He got it from his daddy, because that's what his daddy thinks of the man who brought him into the Oval Office. So I just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses.
How about one in every state? Coming up next, Cliff Maloney leading the battle from the ground, the fight to make our state capitals more efficient. That's the next battle once we take care of the deep state. We'll be right back with Cliff Maloney. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot redheaded libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is...
House Republicans, they've been on the run. They are feeling the pressure of the fact that their policies are deeply unpopular with the American people. And we've seen that play out this past week all across the country. And Democrats are going to continue to make clear that we will stand against the effort to end Medicaid as we know it, stand against the effort to detonate Social Security or Medicare, certainly stand against the effort to undermine veterans' benefits or nutritional assistance to children and families.
So it's certainly true that President Trump's poll numbers are not in a great place, although they're higher than they ever were in his first term. But congressional Republicans polling is about 40%. Congressional Democrats polling is about 20%. So that's an issue for you.
House Republicans.
Bit of an issue there. Approval for Democrats in Congress, 68% disapproval, 21% approval. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson, the great Wake Up America Show. Can you believe that you could do something like this as a business, but it really only works because people like NJM77 go over to the shop and they buy towels. Fine with me. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all of our donors. When you guys drop Rumble rants, let me ask you a question. Does it do a little pop-up screen in the top right-hand corner of your screen? It should give you guys a little confirmation up there at the top of the screen. So do me a favor, would you? Drop some Rumble rants to test. Bless me with something.
Oh, gosh.
Drop some Rumble rants today to support the Wake Up America Show, and just let me know. Is it... Give me the little... Yeah. The Wake Up America Show, brought to you by support from viewers and listeners like you. We're going to speak to Cliff Maloney in just a few minutes. He's a very busy man, very popular man these days, so he's running a little late. Don't be mad. He will be joining us live in just a few to talk about the chainsaw the federal government is being put to by people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Where's Vivek Ramaswamy? I miss Vivek. Bring back Vivek. Bring back Vivek. I want Vivek.
Hit it right last night in the sense that it's one thing for a president to give an executive order or even pass legislation and get the thing done through the bureaucracy. Franklin Roosevelt, when he was in the government, says like punching a pillow. Well, they're taking both a chainsaw and a microscope, finding out where the money actually goes, how it is being tracked, and where it goes through various agencies. Some of it sounds like money laundering, the way some of these things pass from one thing to another thing and end up in hands that it shouldn't be in. And I also love how Musk hit again and again, bureaucracy versus democracy. Right. And apropos of your riff, the House Budget Committee came up with this $4.5 trillion number, which is ridiculous since they're in charge of it. How about $6.5 trillion and get some real rate cuts and take care of this whole blue state thing? You know, there are two tax brackets that hit most people in those blue states, 22 and 24%. Take 4 points off, and you got your virtual deduction. And incentivize the economy.
Let's incentivize the economy, and let's talk about taking it to the streets, not just Washington, D.C., but what about on the state level? Joining us now to discuss the push to have efficiency in our state governments as well is fellow patriot, freedom fighter, Cliff Maloney of the Pennsylvania Chase. How you doing? Nice hat, Cliff.
I'm high on life right now, Austin. We've got the White House. We've got the Super Bowl championship. It can only go down from here. It's great to be here.
Glad to have you here, Cliff. Hey, how was CPAC, man? Did you get to see Elon Musk wielding the chainsaw that he was gifted by Javier Milei? And if so, I mean, can I touch thine garment, sir? I'm so jealous.
Austin, it's a libertarian pipe dream. You know, if you would have told me 3 years ago that Javier Milei, this libertarian economist, will be on the stage with Elon Musk, this now, converted America First patriot, which is fantastic, with a chainsaw, I would have said you were high, drunk, crazy, or all three. So right now I'm just, you just got to soak it in, man. I mean, it's crazy. I don't have a voice. I lost it at CPAC. It really is funny. I mean, it's just minute by minute, doing interviews, talking to donors, talking to activists. But I had to laugh. I mean, that was probably my favorite part of the event was when he got on stage with that chainsaw. Man, do I feel like we've got our country back.
Amen, brother. Amen. I already got my hoodie from my shop with the Elon Musk meme there with the chainsaw. It says the DOGE father on it. It's going to be here in a couple days. I can't wait. But, there's so much winning happening at the federal level. I think people forget. I mean, we still have the battle, of course, for Congress. I'm really ashamed of a lot of senators who did not sign on to Senator Rand Paul's amendment. Maybe we should talk about that here just in a moment. But I read the headline over at Breitbart, we should bring DOGE to every state. And I see a lot of people talking about it. It almost feels like early days of the Tea Party moment where everybody's like across the country is kind of like, yo, we need a Tea Party in every state. We need local Tea Parties. We need to create a movement. It almost feels like the beginning of that kind of energy, that this could become something that could happen in all 50 states. So give us a scoop.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I think that having it done at the federal level provides a playbook, right? It is a floor plan. It shows you, hey, if you want to do this, here's what we're doing. How do we mimic it? And anytime that you can make it consumable so that constituents, voters, you know, if you're a local state elected official, if you can present to something that's being done nationally, it makes it much easier. But Austin, you know my past, right? My past working for Ron, working for Rand Paul, you know, I kind of learned very early on, and this is not a shot at Rand, love him, my favorite senator, great friend of mine, but I learned early on doing his Senate race in 2016 that, man, the impact you can have in these federal races is tough. But if you're an activist and you want to have impact on these state races, you know, you can really swing state Senate and state House races if you put your mind to it. So, you know, I wrote this piece in Breitbart saying we need a DOGE in every state because I'm calling on a lot of the people that, quite frankly, I helped to elect, whether it's state Senate or state House, to say, look, you know, this is a great opportunity. This is the time to mimic what Elon is doing at the federal level, put this thing forward and figure out how do you take certain snippets of what they're doing at the federal level and use it in your state if it's applicable. And so I just think there's never been a better opportunity for state legislators to step up. DOGE is in the news every day talking about massive things that they're doing. And my dream is this, Austin. I don't want to see a state where instead of increasing their spending by 5% this year, they only increase it by 4%. No, I want to see a damn state government that cuts their spending by 15 or 20%, that cuts 10 of their departments. I want to see these afuera, magnets going over people's shoulders at the state level. And I just think this is the time to do it.
Should we at the state level have someone send out an email to all state level employees asking them, what is it that you say you did here last week? Is that a good move, would you say, strategically?
You know why I love Elon Musk is because some of the things that he does, most of the things that he does, are just so simple and no one can really argue with them. But then to see the left do these mental gymnastics to say, what if somebody's on vacation for 2 weeks and they don't respond? It's like, this is brilliant, right? The fact that even yesterday I saw him tweeting out like, hey, we think there are people that have never even logged into their email, right? Working for the government that are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars with our taxpayer money. So yeah, I mean, I think it's brilliant. I think they do simple things to be able to scale this, right? That's why Elon's so great. He's doing things that, okay, listen, how do we across the board figure out where we can cut 4 to 5%? Okay, let's send an email saying, tell us what you did last week, right? Nobody can argue with that. He's not looking for a full report. I mean, the email even said, please don't send any classified information, no photos, no attachments. I kind of love that. He's like, just keep it simple. We just want to see if you're going to respond. That's my take. Is he just going to look for who are the people that responded and who didn't respond? And how did these people not respond, and yet we're paying them $100,000 a year? So, yes, I'm completely in for this email. I think there's a lot of other things that they can do in terms of checking in on what people are doing. But, Austin, you know this better than me. These are government workers. The more that Elon digs as a for-profit, real-world, free market guy, he is going to find some things that it's just going to blow his mind. And so I'm so excited to see what he's able to do.
Love to hear it. Clementine over in the chat just dropping those Rumble rants like they're hot. The host of the Love Connection during the Ice Age was Chuck Woolery Mammoth. Is that random enough for a rant? Yes, it is. Thank you, Clementine, for your support. Let's stay on topic, guys. We're fighting for liberty, though. We appreciate you. All of our financials.
Chuck Woolery is a patriot. Never forget that. Go ahead, Austin.
Oh yeah, no, he absolutely is. He passed away, I think, at the end of last year. He was a wonderful man. And I'm always shocked because whenever anybody that's in like Hollywood or the media or politics takes an interest in me, it's usually not by accident because like my reputation is pretty known as like the crazy libertarian. But whenever somebody like actually is like, oh my God, I like Austin, I'm like, oh, this guy must be legit. Like he must be like a real like conservative or a real patriot, because the establishment guys, they always feel uncomfortable. Talk about whenever I'm around. Talk about like the state level. I don't know if you saw this, Cliff, but when I went a couple weeks ago to my state capital.
Oh, I saw it. Stop recording me, sir. What are you doing? You don't have my permission. Hey, excuse me, miss, we're at a public hearing and you're an elected official.
Now,
I loved
obviously,
it.
my mere presence, I mean, caused a Democrat to explode, right? I had said nothing by this point. I was just there, right, just staring them in the face, because they're so used to corporate flacks and like think tankers who live in D.C. coming and testifying at these hearings, and they're not used to like.
Austin, she thought she had a got you question by asking you which road you drove in on, and she was not prepared for your libertarian lesson. I mean, it was great. You just schooled her. I loved it.
It was great. But I heard later too that even the Republicans were kind of uncomfortable later with my presence as well, because they want things to go by the book. That's why even Republicans are freaking out about what Elon Musk is doing, because they're moving fast and they're breaking things, Cliff, and that is not the mantra that Washington D.C. is used to. I want you to riff on that, and then I want you to tell me: are you using Tucker Carlson's tobacco pouch there? It better be.
I just tried to pull an RFK and slipped one in. I was hoping I was off camera. So number one, it's funny. I am using Alps as much as possible. I am out at the moment, so Tucker, don't hate me. This is not an endorsement of nicotine for those children out there.
Even he said Zin is no sin, so he can't go back on that. He can't go back on that. But
so number two, I'll riff a little bit about them kind of breaking the spirit of like you said. You're right, Austin. Nothing comes forward in politics usually unless it's completely understood what it will be. It is known, and it is not want to say traditional, but they don't like the unknown, right? They don't like wild cards. So guys like you and me coming in, it can make some people melt or break the system. Case in point, when they had this whole CR battle, right? I don't think people realize how powerful this was. A couple months ago, right after the election, Mike Johnson, John Thune, they tried pushing through this horrendous CR, and Elon Musk pretty much took the grok, Googled this 2,000-page bill. I think you've talked about a lot on your show, and it was, hey, here are the 30 things in this bill that are horrendous. I thought this was the golden age, right? Why are you funding X, Y, and Z? Why are you funding this woke stuff, this DEI stuff? Why are you funding these agencies that we're now auditing and saying we want to get rid of? So we shut that down. And I think that's very powerful to understand that the entire swamp, the Uniparty, has one major playbook, which is, or a simple tactic that they use, which is run up against the clock, force people to vote or they can't go home. Whether it's a weekend, whether it's a holiday, hey, this vote's Friday at 2 o'clock. If you want to debate it, if you want to extend this thing out, we're going to have to stay the weekend. And people think I'm kidding, but that's how we pass trillion-dollar level spending bills, is that simple playbook, and we give them an hour to read the bill. Well, now we have AI. Now we have Grok. Now we have these things that we can use that are able to expose that. So my prediction for this, and like you said, most things, that's why the speaker vote has been great the past couple of years. It's the only thing that comes to the floor in DC that we have no idea where it's going to land, right? Even the cameraman has free reign during the speaker vote. You get to see different angles and stuff because it's not scripted, it's not written, it's not planned. And so I think the biggest battle is going to be DOGE versus the swamp. It's probably going to be on the budget. It could end up being on some of these other smaller things if Elon wants to elevate them. But folks, that's the battle right now. Is okay, we're going to expose all these agencies. Well, Republicans love to do that. And then guess what they do? They fund them at a higher level in the next budget. And so that's the question everybody has to ask themselves. It's okay to expose, but when do we defund? And that's phase two. And that will be the budget. That will be the battle. And I'm telling you, folks, it's DOGE versus the swamp. And the people that you consider Republican patriots, a lot of them are not going to be with DOGE. They're going to be with the swamp. And that's what we have to keep our eye on when it comes to we the people versus the Uniparty. Which side are these elected officials on? And let's pressure and hold accountable all the people that say they're fiscal conservatives, that say they're pro-liberty. That will be the time to step up and actually deliver.
Love to hear it. Cliff, very important question. Camellia in the chat actually reminded me of it because I think it's people are really confused by this because she said, what do you do with the various agencies that have told their people to disregard, including Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and others? I think there's a lot of confusion. My understanding was that if there was a concern about security, of national security, maybe it would, that they weren't supposed to respond. But if you work in the National Security Agency, almost everything that you did accomplish last week, probably not the kind of thing you want to shoot out to Elon Musk in an email. So security is a concern. But, is this kind of a wires cross situation? It feels as if the press is trying to drive a wedge here. But it's pretty straightforward that people who have national security jobs shouldn't be, replying to emails like that. If they actually reply, maybe the test is if they actually reply, those people get fired because they work in security. And that's like, it's like plugging in your USB at the NSA's booth at the convention. If you plug in your phone and charge it at the NSA center, you won't get the job. You know what I'm saying?
No, so I think those departments that, if their directors have spoken up, I think they're fine. Look, I think this is a dragnet to try to figure out who are the people that are just not active, right? For people that are actually going to work, for people that are doing their job, this is not an actual audit of that. It's an audit of the people that are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars that don't show up to work, right? And that's why I think this is brilliant, because once again, he's not asking them for some play-by-play, minute-by-minute of what they do, what are their metrics, what are their deliverables. He's just seeing who's alive, right? And who is just taking our money and not going into work. I mean, these videos that are being posted by Kelly Loeffler and some of these, Lee Zeldin and some of these others, just showing the offices of these bureaucracies, because we joke about it. We call it the swamp, but when you see those buildings, to know that nobody's in there and these people have been working remote for 4 years, it just, we're exposing the rot. And I think Elon is just trying to say, hey, who has just got no pulse? And let's get rid of those people, right? So I think the directors that have covered certain departments is great. The media is obviously going to try to push a lot of this. But at the end of the day, it's making sure people are actually working, that they're active in their job, and it's not some sideshow where somebody's giving them a kickback and paying them at some department.
Last question for you here. I want your reaction to James Carville. He predicts, talk about sowing dissension in the ranks. He predicts that Trump and the GOP are in the midst of collapse. He's giving us 4 to 6 weeks until we fully implode. 4 to 6 weeks. So we're not at the top of our game. We're not enjoying every SpongeBob SquarePants meme that Donald Trump is posting on his official True Social accounts. We're actually getting ready to fall apart. We're not expanding. We're shrinking. We're not growing. We're collapsing. How do you react to Mr. Carville's prediction?
Well, number one, the libertarian world will be surprised to hear this, but I don't do drugs. However, I would love to experience whatever it is that James Carville is indulging in right now, because he seems to be having either a manic episode or some sort of drug-induced episode. No, I mean, listen, I've never been as excited to be a Republican in my life. Me and you have jumped around, whether it's Libertarian Party, Constitution Party, Independent. We're not party guys, right? We're ideologues. We believe in the principles of liberty. And I always will stand by that. This cycle was the first time I ever played, Team Red. But I thought it was that important. I went all in on Donald Trump, obviously in Pennsylvania. And I just think that right now is probably the most confident I've ever been that Republican politicians might pull something off. Now, I've been let down for 33 years. That's how old I am, right? It's not something where I'm saying it's definitely going to happen. But I think right now is the golden age. I think what we're doing with DOGE is a Ron Paul dream. You've got Roger Stone calling for Ron Paul to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Who's a great friend of Donald Trump. So it's just, to me, everything's coming together. It's the opposite of collapsing. Now, do I think that the establishment control and the kind of Lindsey Graham, Dick Cheney wing of the party is dying? Absolutely. And I think it's a great thing. We win. You lose, we win. And I think that patriots everywhere, America first folks that love liberty, this is the time to be excited. We've done it, but now we have to keep fighting, right? It's not a battle that ends. You can't just have a couple wins and think, all right, the battle's over. No, the war is the long game. And I think we only have a year. I don't think the 4-year thing, yeah, in 4 years we can do a lot with Trump. But the momentum in politics is when you have to capitalize. Right now we have the momentum. This thing has to keep going at least through November. It's kind of my like projection out. If we can keep the pressure up, keep exposing things, but the budget vote is going to be everything. That is going to be the battle. The swamp is going to say, okay, keep exposing things, but we still want to get paid. We cannot let them get paid, and that's how we return the power back to the people.
Cliff, you're a former Ron Paul staffer, former Rand Paul staffer. You led the Pennsylvania chase to help bring in Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, for Donald Trump. A lot of the things that are happening right now, all these wonderful things that I get to see, Javier Milei getting retweeted, shaking hands with Donald Trump from the White House account. They're talking about potentially 0% reciprocal tariffs if we can get Argentina out of Mercosur, which would prevent them from being able to achieve the kind of policies that could take us into the next generation, next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, maybe a realignment away from America's opposition, away from China, away from countries that hate us, and being able to do business more here in the Western Hemisphere. Maybe a hemispheric common market, as Hillary Clinton was talking about in those Goldman Sachs speeches. But Cliff, I want to give you the last word here and share anything that you'd like to share with us, maybe the PA Chase at PAChase.com, any other initiatives you're working on that our listeners need to know today before they go to work and prove why they have jobs.
Well, I don't think there's too many government workers listening to this. So you guys should be safe. Yeah, Austin, always want to say this. I appreciate you. Appreciate the Wake Up Show. I mean, there's so many people that we've gotten involved as activists, as donors. People have chipped in, helped out, and that comes from your listeners and your viewership. Yeah, we've relaunched the PHA. So Citizens Alliance is doubling down in Pennsylvania. Yes, we've got New Jersey reaching out. We've got Virginia reaching out for their governor races and off-year races. And we're lending a lot of our people to certain states because, we know how to knock doors, right? We do logistics. We do ground games. But in Pennsylvania in 2025, this year, our governor, Josh Shapiro, already has 100 paid staffers on the ground, right? The left might be in turmoil, but they don't mess around when it comes to winning elections, right? They are back. They are full-time. This is a business for them, and they run it as a business model. So we're doubling down. We're going to hire another 120 people. We're going to knock 500,000 doors again. We are trying to elect, I said this on your show probably a year and a half ago, that we would get Trump to 33% of the mail-in. I like measurable, actual things that I can be held accountable to. Trump got 34.5% of the mail-in. Very proud of that. We worked our ass off to make that happen. But now in 2025 with the off year, I want people to hold me accountable to electing 1,000 judge of elections. Okay, so these are the people, if they win, they will be the on-the-ground people that run the elections, that decide which ballots count, which don't, for 2026 through 2029. That means the 2026 governor's race, and obviously 2028, the presidential race, and we have John Fetterman up for a U.S. Senate race. So, this is what we're all in on. People can go to PAChase.com. They can follow me on X at Maloney for updates. But Austin, appreciate you as always, and thanks for having me.
Cliff, one last quick question from the audience. Was Cliff a Daily Paul fan or a Ron Paul forums bro?
I was a Daily Paul brat. We'll leave it at that. I'm not anti the forums, but I was a Daily Paul kid. Austin, I'm going to say this. I know we got 1 minute. I was late to the game. I was not OG like you. I was in college in 2010 and found the Ron Paul video. So I always tell people, the 08 crowd, they have one up on me because I was not around, and I admit that.
Yeah.
I got involved for the 2012 race.
Well, in 2008, Cliff, we were too busy launching a blimp down the East Coast, the Ron Paul blimp, instead of getting out and knocking on doors like you're starting to perfect. Thank you, Cliff, for all you do. And at this point now, I'm so old school. You're old school. Time has passed so much that you're now considered OG status. You're grandfathered in, except I'm the grandpa here. Hey, have a good one, Cliff.
I appreciate that.
See you later, brother. It's been a beautiful day. Yeah, I was a Daily Paul guy myself, actually. Did you know, trivia question, did you know that I actually helped to launch the Fox Business Network show Freedom Watch with Judge Napolitano using activism on the dailypaul.com. I went to the dailypaul.com and I was like posting on there, all right, everybody, let's support Judge Napolitano. Let's get him his own show on Fox. And the Judge's producer saw that post. And it was so successful that, and I'm living in DC at the time, that they moved me. I went back to New York City to produce Freedom Watch with Judge Napolitano, starting our friendship, leading to his now weekly Wednesday appearances. You talk about OG. I mean, that was 2010, 2012, Freedom Watch with Judge Napolitano. Some of you might remember those days. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Click like in the chat if you haven't before you leave. And as we exit, what do we say to the God of death, of commerce? Yes, today. ForLibertyShop.com, the number ForLibertyShop.com. Head on over there this morning. Join me in Washington, D.C. You're going to learn all of the things that they don't teach you in school. It's not Schoolhouse Rock. It's level 10, advanced politics. Join me in Washington, D.C., May 1st through the 3rd. So as you exit through the Grift Shop and you're browsing through the Gulf of America merch, if you scroll down the front page, you can see we're all getting the gang together. We need to meet in real life. We need to shake hands, press the flesh, if you know what I mean. Hang out with me, Steffi, Hazel Rose, my little baby, and all of our friends in Washington, D.C. Quest Fanning's going to be there. Cecilia's going to be there. Why aren't you going to be there? Because you haven't got your ticket. Go to ForLibertyShop.com, buy some Gulf of America merch, go to AP's, get a ticket to AP's DC Liberty Tour. Use your 20% discount. Save a lot of money on this trip. It's going to be fun. Yes, you can bring your family. Yes, your kids are free, but adults must pay the Petersons, okay? Pay the Petersons. Go to ForLibertyShop.com. Thanks, guys. Love you. Thank you for all that you do. Join me in Washington, D.C. We'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military?
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.